Hi there. Thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Hope, and I'm on the team at Homes for Hope that's part of the Hope International Organization. Yes, that is a tremendous amount of hope, and I'm glad that you're joining today so that you get a little bit of that taste of hope. It's my goal today, as we have this conversation, to share with you about global poverty and the impact that you can have, and with something that's called microeconomic development. I am very excited to introduce it to you today, and I'm going to share at the very beginning the story of how this came to be. So I'm going to kick off and ask a question that's a very personal question, and I want you to take a second to really consider it. All right. If you had to describe a flourishing life in one sentence, what would it be? Flourishing. To some people, flourishing means a really big house, a boat and a car, a couple of cars, really fancy cars. Some people, it's more internal. Some people say that it's probably health or maybe being surrounded by family. What does it mean to you personally? And in that space, what role, if any, do equity and opportunity play in human flourishing? Do you believe, do you have a conviction that equity and opportunity access plays into someone having a flourishing life? Something to consider. Well, who believed in you and gave you your start? Everyone needs someone to believe in them. Who is that person for you? You likely are having a face or a name pop into your mind, maybe a memory that takes you back to the very beginning, or maybe a pivotal moment where you were going this way or that way and you had a coach or a parent or a family friend speak into your life and said, I believe that this is what you're built for, this is what you should do. Well, people that are considered to be living in poverty look very different than sometimes we can imagine. When you think of poverty, sometimes, yes, you think of homelessness. Yes, you think of maybe material issues, maybe not, hunger is an issue, yes. But we believe that poverty is very, very multifaceted. It also includes isolation and hopelessness. It also includes a lack of education. It does include risk. Yes, it is material, but we do believe it is social, isolation, confusion, fear. We also believe it's personal when you're locked in a mindset, a poverty mindset that says, I can't. We do believe that it's inherently spiritual. When you don't understand who you are as a person, it's really hard to believe that you have the opportunity to have a flourishing life. World Bank says that nearly 700 million people worldwide live on less than $2.15 per day. When you think about how much money that you spend in a day, can you say that you spend maybe a little bit more than that? Research shows that the surest way out of poverty is a good job. Most common charitable focuses deal with food, shelter, and housing. That is a good thing. We want that. There's a lot of need. And when there's a crisis response, those are the people that are on the front lines. We want that. But given the fact that we just heard that research shows the surest way out of poverty is a good job, when you look at this chart, you see that employment is being addressed at the bottom. We want to change that. So Bob Lupin is a gentleman who served in urban Atlanta for more than 20 years. He wrote a book called Toxic Charity, and he says, at its core, toxic charity is trying to address chronic, ongoing poverty through one-way crisis relief. One-way charity rarely solves the underlying issue, but results in a cycle of continual one-way giving and receiving. And toxic charity can bolster deeper biases, like the idea that low-income people don't know how to manage money or don't work hard enough. How many times have you seen someone obviously lacking material wealth and have biases that creep into your head? Well, sometimes when you're doing relief work, those resources run out and someone can return back into a place of poverty. That's the point that he's making. He also says, Bob also mentions in his book that there are steps to toxic charity. It doesn't always start out with bad. Our motivations, our intentions of charity are wonderfully received at the beginning. They're appreciated when you give free gifts to someone in need. But the second time you give, it creates a little bit of anticipation after that second gift. And maybe after the third time that same person receives a gift, there's an internal innate feeling of expectation. And then after the fourth time that they've received that one-way gift, they're feeling entitled to it. And unfortunately, without knowing it, by the sixth time that we've given a gift, it's creating a dependency. These people that we serve around the world that are living on less than $2.15 a day in these nations that are underserved are highly capable. They are people that want to be acknowledged as having skills, capacity, wisdom. They have experiences in their life that have taught them. They are fully capable of doing amazing things, and they just want dignity. They need access. And that's where Hope International comes in. So Hope International has an opportunity for those folks that are living in the underserved parts of our world, and we provide access to loans, access to a safe place to save, and it's all saturated with training with the inherent core message that you have value, and value is where we get our spiritual component in discipleship. That value, we believe, is addressed as having human dignity, and that is what we call discipleship in that process of explaining who they are. So those loans are opportunities for people to take out a small loan to get training for business, training for finances, and ultimately we're wanting to bring them into communities so they understand they don't have to do this alone. It gives them confidence, courage, and boldness to begin to take steps to get out of poverty. Starting a small store, getting supplies and materials. Those small loans give them just enough ability to have access to get a start and repay that with interest, yes, and we'll discuss that in just a moment. So they're able to know, I worked for this, I earned it, and I have the capacity to repay this loan. Savings groups work just a little bit differently. The savings group are coming into churches where they're able to come into community and collectively save each week. They have a process of praying together, but they also explain and talk about their goals, their business experiences that they're having, and they're all able to receive training in both with our loan officers and with our savings groups. They're all given the opportunity to have access to resources that train them from the bottom up to not only to how to start, how to maintain, and then how to grow. We know that this model works. Last year alone, we served 88,000 new people, and we dispersed more than $126 million in those microfinance loans. We have a 98% repayment rate, even that goes back all the way to 2019. You guys, that's an amazing repayment rate. If someone's in poverty, how can they afford to repay these loans? Well, that's where the education comes in. That's where the responsible loan officers, that's where that relationship comes in. So these aren't just people that we have in a line that are receiving these loans. We come into relationship with each one of these clients. We assess their circumstance and situation. We assess their capacity to pay these loans back, and we start small. Sometimes it could just be a $40 loan, and they're able to access maybe a sewing machine and start a sewing business. Maybe they already have a sewing machine, but they need fabric, so we're able to give them a loan to get the supplies that they need to start. We see that it works. 98% loan repayment. Who can say that they're experiencing that? What bank in America can say that? So we to date have raised over $330 million to put into this work. Well, because we deploy that money and it's repaid, it has translated into over $1.8 billion in capital. We know that the savings group are making a difference in communities. How do we know that? Well, last year alone, we saw 2,836 new churches equipped to begin these savings groups. We brought in 184,000 new clients into these savings groups, and the average savings per member in these savings groups was $31.95. In some of these countries, that is a phenomenal amount of money, where a lot of these clients come into these savings groups and wouldn't believe that they would ever be able to save that much money in 1 year. Since 2021, we've launched 39 new innovations. Those innovations are creative ways that we're seeing to partner with what's already happening in the world, but also go into these underserved areas where it's considered risky by a lot of financial institutions. We're looking at coffee farmers in Burundi. We're looking at single mothers and teaching them trade skills in Rwanda. We're teaching sustainable farming practices in Malawi, a lot of drought, a lot of famine, and we're teaching them how to cultivate that ground, cultivate what is there, what is in their community, what is in your hand, to be able to take what you naturally have access to, cultivate it, grow it, and then mature it, and get those communities pulled out of cyclical and generational poverty. And we're also we're able to partner with people doing home improvement loans in the Ukraine. Who would believe that we're able to do this? It's true. We have the stories to prove it. Here's a story that I would love to share with you from one of our clients in his own words.
In 2007, Vincent Habiyaremye worked as a carpenter, going door to door in his community in Rwanda to look for odd jobs. He dreamt of starting his own business to provide more stability for his family, but had no collateral to qualify for a loan from the bank. After learning about Orwego Bank and joining a solidarity group, Vincent used a $50 loan to buy the initial timber needed for his carpentry business. He said before this loan, it was a struggle. I had an idea in mind, but I had no resources to support my idea. Vincent's business grew significantly over the years, eventually converting into a wholesale construction supply company. 15 years later, his business provides employment to over 30 families. His own family has been impacted too. He said, by joining Orwego Bank, our living transformed. I managed to build 4 houses. I rent out 3, and we reside in the other. Vincent is now able to pay for the school fees of not only his own 5 children, but of 5 other children whose families cannot afford to pay. The business is creating ripple effects throughout the community. Vincent has trained more than 20 young people in carpentry through internships. Many have since started their own businesses. Vincent also invests in his employees spiritually. He said, Orwego staff pray for their clients in all meetings, whether we are receiving a loan or not. I took the same style as the bank and brought it into my staff management, and it has worked amazingly with my staff and family. Praying before doing anything has become our habit. More than the financial impact Orwego has had, I cherish even more how my family's way of living has been positively impacted.
So because I've spoken with you about poverty, hopefully it's getting your mind working a little bit about what your own life looks like and maybe what some of the access outside our nation looks like. And I want to go back to the very beginning and explain Hope International and Homes for Hope. We are one and the same, and we were founded by Jeff Rutt. Jeff Rutt was a farmer turned home builder, and he was sending a lot of aid internationally, as we discussed what one-way aid looks like, and he was sending that to the Ukraine. And what he learned from a local pastor, that he was actually inadvertently creating dependency. So this very brave pastor taught Jeff, we have the capacity, we have the knowledge, we just need capital. So being a home builder, Jeff Rutt began to work with his local other fellow builders in the Pennsylvania area from Lancaster, and Keystone Homes began building and sold a home and used the capital from the sale of that home to begin Hope International. So that capital funded 12 loans of $500 and went back to the Ukraine, and the pastor contacted Jeff and said, I've got great news. But I've got some bad news. The great news is we've got 12 new businesses. The bad news is we need no more money. This motivated Jeff. It motivated the men that he worked with. And so they said, we've got something going here. So they created Homes for Hope. And they said, we're going to begin building homes. We're going to market, sell them, and we're going to take the proceeds from the sale of those homes, and we're going to begin to funnel it into Homes for Hope to send out and deploy multiple microfinance, microeconomic loans to be able to empower these very capable people to begin doing this work. So, like I mentioned, working with the home building industry is what we're doing. We know that the home building industry are very generous people. We also know that you want to believe in what you're doing. So when you put yourself to work on a job, knowing that you're part of this work and you're deploying this effort out that's going to change someone's life, it's a really rewarding way to do a project. I will tell you, a lot of times when I see someone and hear a story of someone benefiting from the sale of a home, it doesn't typically stay with themselves. Typically, they're deploying that into their community. I'd love for Jeff's story to come from his own words. Watch this video.
My name's Jeff Rutt. I'm a home builder. Started Keystone Custom Homes in 1992. We've built about 9,000 homes. I founded Hope International in 1997 to help families in post-Soviet Ukraine overcome poverty. So we started really small with $1,200 loans. We got word back from our country director that it was working. So we were excited to hear that, but they also said, you need to send more cash. So we started looking for ways to fulfill that need. And I was in the building industry and talked to our trade base, and they were extremely generous and said, yeah, we're not gonna send you a bill. We're gonna do the things that we're really good at on a daily basis, like drywalling or painting or pouring concrete, but we're going to do them for charity. We're gonna do them for families that we may not ever get a chance to see. So although Hope started in one small city there of Zaporozhye, Ukraine, it's now grown to serve in 27 countries around the world. We've helped Hope International invest in over 3.1 million underserved families with the gospel and the financial services they need. We've currently raised about $280 million because of our 98% repayment rate, have loaned out over $1.75 billion. Homes for Hope was basically the foundation of the financing of Christ-centered microenterprise for Hope International from the beginning. And although a lot of other forms of income and donations have come alongside of Hope International through the years, Homes for Hope has continued to remain as one of the important contributors to the budget, and the financial growth of Hope International has been tremendously impacted by Homes for Hope and will continue to be for many years to come.
We have expanded far beyond the Ukraine because of the response of the building industry, because of people that, like yourself, that believe in the capacity and the ability of other fellow entrepreneurs. And now we serve in all of these countries that you see on your screen and growing. These are fully capable people that are receiving handout, they're receiving work, they're receiving capacity, they're receiving capital to get started. And this is one of the examples of a savings group. These folks gather each and every week. They save just a little portion of their income, and together they're accountable to one another. They receive training, they get to celebrate one another, and they get to see the lives of their own community changed because they had someone believe that they had value. So you're asking, what do I do? I like it. I want to sign up. This is how we work. So Homes for Hope is asking you to do what you always do. That's it. You're selecting a home from your inventory, or you're going to maybe do a remodel as a project. And you're going to complete your normal process with your people, your way, in your timing. You're going to complete that process, and you're going to go through to sell. And at that next step is where you're going to really get personal with how you connect to this work. You're going to determine what amount of your project is discounted or donated to Homes for Hope. You'll contact your representative. You'll celebrate your journey with your project. And that's one of the most amazing things about what we get to do is at the end of your project, we're going to bring in our staff. You're going to bring in your staff, the folks, the vendors, suppliers, trades that worked on the project together. And sometimes we even bring in the home buyer. And we're all going to celebrate what I just shared with you about the impact of this donation. And then finally, the final step of your project is that funds are deployed through Hope International to our clients around the world. This is how we're different. It's very important to discuss this part. We're different because we do not build charity homes. We have plenty of amazing organizations that are doing that part. What we do is we empower you to do what you always do with your people your way. The second thing is we support enterprise or entrepreneurs through micro enterprise development. We are not doing any type of volunteer work. We're not doing any kind of any other kind of work that's going to create anything outside of this financial support, apart from the training and the savings. So loans are repaid to create a recycling impact. We do not give one-way gifts. As we talked about earlier, we believe that the buy-in of the client to own the opportunity to pay their loan back gives them the dignity of knowing that they have done this work and that results in them feeling empowered and courageous enough to approach for a second loan. And then finally, we are fighting poverty in all its forms. Want to make sure that we discuss this. Poverty is not just material. We do believe that there are much deeper, and at the core, we believe it's spiritual. So we're fighting poverty in all of those forms. And then finally, with one project, many people are impacted. So with your build, with your project, it's not just a singular one-time donation. What happens is your donation of that sale price of the home, or the percentage that you choose to give, continues to grow as we talked about that recycling effect. So it's not just a one-time gift. It's something that goes into the opportunity to continue that work into the future. So how do you get involved? The first thing you're going to do is you're going to talk to me. So let's explore the impact that you want your work to have. Second thing, talk to others. Talk to other people about us. You're hearing about this really creative and really amazing model that we're sharing, and you see the results, you see the number. Talk to people about it. Listen in your daily conversations about how you can share what you just heard with other people. And then finally, you want to connect us with the philanthropic stakeholders of your organization. Those people that are in positions to make those decisions. We want to know about them. We want to share with them what we've just shared with you. We want to give them the opportunity to partner with us, because a lot of times some folks really just don't understand what it is that we're doing. Hopefully you're able to take this information and pass it on to them. I want to close out by finishing with a builder experience in their own words.
I'm successful, I have a great business, but what drives me to do more? What if I can create even more, not just for myself, but to be able to give it away and alleviate as much poverty and suffering in the world as is physically possible? I mean, isn't that our calling? I mean, isn't that the meaning of life? Until you can look somebody in the eye, see the smile on their face, see the success they've been able to make of themselves, you don't truly know. It gives you purpose.
Homes for Hope works with home builders all across America who have a heart for fighting poverty. So what a home builder will do is build a home just like any other home that they build. They'll sell that home, and then instead of taking the proceeds from that home and pouring them into their own business, they'll pour that into the businesses of entrepreneurs around the world, people who are living in the most underserved countries.
Homes for Hope is an organization that provides microfinance loans to those that wouldn't be able to get a loan from a normal bank or any other place. And these are folks who have great ideas on how they can be profitable and provide for their family. However, they don't have the opportunity to have the capital to get started.
So many times the handout comes along, but then where's the handout tomorrow? And where's the handout the next day? And why would you want to destroy their spirit by giving them a hand out, when in reality, all they want is a hand up? And now we have the ability to do that.
I'm lucky enough that we get to be a part of Homes for Hope as a builder, where we can help others help themselves. If you give $1, they pay the dollar back, and it goes to someone else. The community grows and it does better. You expect to see poverty and you expect to see shacks, but when you see people that are thriving and you see the actual hope in their lives, and you've seen what they've been able to make out of nothing, that humbles you.
If you help somebody create a business through microfinance, it helps them get out of poverty, their children and their children's children. It allows them to go to school. There's many benefits, and it's just exciting to see that today as we witnessed many loans being paid back and hearing the stories of what they started with just what they have in their hands.
God calls us to go help those who need help. When you step into the lives of those that Hope is serving, you're going to see lives changed. You're going to see people who know that they were created in the image of God.
We met Luis today, and there's no question this man is eventually going to own his own farm. He's sharing a 50-50 with the property owner, and he is the manager of this farm, and he raises mangoes and avocados and bananas and plantains and everything else, and it's just amazing. And not only does he have a wife and 2 kids, but he is a pastor of a church.
Obviously, he speaks a different language than us, but you could tell the integrity of the man and the heart of the man and the passion of the man just by watching him.
We met Altagracia when we pulled up to her little tienda, her little shop. Every day she takes chicken and prepares the chicken and sells them that night to people. And she's just got an amazing spirit. It's fantastic. Her whole family's right there helping her out. And, you know, she's professional in the way she presents herself. She's confident. From one generation to the next, she's been able to use these loans in order to create a life for herself, but allow her children to go throughout school and even have a better life beyond her.
Being here, meeting the people, seeing the communities, really just puts everything into perspective and just gives you a better handle on what it is that Hope really does.
It changes everything. It changes you and how you see Hope and the work that's being done through microfinance loans.
I can do what I do best, and all I got to do is build one more house. By doing that, I can create such a difference that I wouldn't be able to do any other way.
I asked a question at the very beginning of this time together with you about who believed in your potential and gave you a chance. Does it look different to you now? Potentially you could be that person for someone else. Potentially you have the capacity to engage an entrepreneur that you'll never meet and give them a start that you'll never see, that will change the trajectory of their family. Isn't that something that you want to be part of? These are beautiful people with dignity who have dreams, hopes. They want to be known as people of capacity as well. Every one of them have tremendous value, and we're so grateful that I had the opportunity to share about them with you today and about this opportunity with Homes for Hope. I invite you to get involved. You can scan the QR code and get a contact date on my calendar as soon as possible, or put us in touch with someone that you know. Thank you so much for spending time with me today. Bye-bye.